Welcome back. Today, we are asking, can the new, adult, modulo-era Yuji Itadori take on both of them at the same time? A 1 versus 2, Yuji Itadori alone versus the King of Curses and the Honored One. Let's find out. You have to understand something first. For most of Jujutsu Kaisen, this question would have been laughable. Early Yuji? The kid who threw a shot put at world record distance and thought that was impressive. Against Gojo and Sukuna? That's not a fight, that's a funeral. But things changed. They changed fast. When Yuji first swallowed Sukuna's finger, he had one thing going for him: monstrous physical ability. No curse technique, no domain, just a kid who hit harder than anything had a right to. Even then, even raw, even untrained, Gege Akutami was planting seeds. Uraume, Sukuna's closest companion, a character who has watched Sukuna for over 1,000 years, looked at Yuji Itadori and said his potential is equal to Sukuna's. Equal to Sukuna's. That's not a throwaway line. That's Gege telling you the entire story 6 arcs before it happens. By the Shinjuku showdown, Yuji is unrecognizable from that early kid, and by the time JJK Modulo begins, 69 years later, Gege officially confirms it. Yuji Itadori is considered one of Japan's strongest sorcerers of all time. So with that established, let's actually build our fighter. Before we even get to techniques, Yuji's base stats are criminal. This is a man who, as a teenager with 0 training, tied the world record for consecutive Black Flashes. Black Flash, the technique where you infuse cursed energy within 1/1,000,000th of a second of a physical impact to create spatial distortion and multiply damage by a factor of 2.5. Gojo himself has used Black Flash. Elite sorcerers chase it their whole careers. Yuji chained them consecutively as a kid. Now imagine that same body after 69 years of being one of Japan's top sorcerers. His physical strikes already leveled city blocks as a teenager. The force of his blows against Sukuna in Shinjuku was enough to destroy entire building blocks. Ability number 1, blood manipulation. After consuming the 6 remaining death-painting cursed wombs, his older brothers, his family, Yuji inherited the blood manipulation technique of the Kamo clan, and he didn't just learn it, he mastered it. He can use piercing blood, converging his blood into a spear-like projectile so compressed, so dense, it punches through elite defenses. In Modulo Chapter 19, he fires so many piercing blood arrows simultaneously that he takes down an entire building full of sorcerers and Simurians in one shot. Ability number 2, Shrine, his own version. This one is where it gets really interesting. After landing multiple Black Flashes on Sukuna during the Shinjuku showdown, Yuji entered an awakened state. In that state, he pulled out Sukuna's own innate technique, Shrine, and started using it. Yuji's version of Shrine manifests as scissor-like snipping cuts, and because of his unique ability to perceive and touch souls, a skill he developed from being possessed by Sukuna and later fighting Mahito. Ability number 3, Soul Perception and Soul Attacks. This is Yuji's most unique and terrifying ability, and it's one people constantly underestimate. Because of his time as Sukuna's vessel, Yuji became deeply attuned to the shape of the soul. He can see the contours of the soul the way Mahito could. He can attack the soul directly with his punches. His fists reach deeper than flesh and bone. In fact, outside of Mahito, Yuji may be the only sorcerer who can directly, consistently harm an opponent's soul. You want to know why this matters against Gojo and Sukuna specifically? Because Infinity doesn't protect against soul attacks. Because Reverse Cursed technique can't heal soul damage the same way it heals physical damage. Yuji's hands are existential threats. Ability number 4, Reverse Cursed technique. By the end of Shinjuku Showdown, Yuji had learned RCT, the ability to generate positive energy to heal himself in combat. Almost no sorcerers ever achieve this. It requires multiplying negative energy by negative energy to create positive output, a concept that sounds simple and is nearly impossible to execute. Yuji can now self-heal mid-fight. Ability number 5, Simple Domain. During his training with Kusakabe, a grade 1 sorcerer famous for reaching that rank without a cursed technique, Yuji learned Simple Domain. Simple Domain is the anti-domain tool. It creates a small personal barrier that neutralizes the guaranteed hit effect of enemy domain expansions. It's the answer to the most powerful attacks in the JJK world. So yes, he has a counter to domains. Ability number 6, Domain Expansion. And then, the big one, Yuji Itadori has his own domain expansion. The final battle against Sukuna ended inside Yuji's domain. The main character finally finally, fully, completely became what Gege always promised he would become. Let's meet the other side of this fight, because this isn't just two strong guys. This is arguably the two most dangerous sorcerers in JJK history, and they couldn't even beat each other cleanly. So what does Yuji need to survive? Let's be real, Gojo is the definition of broken. Born once every 400 years with both the Six Eyes and the Limitless technique, this combination makes him functionally untouchable. His infinity acts as a passive, always-on barrier that divides space infinitely, meaning anything that tries to reach him slows down to nothing before making contact. Then there's his offensive kit. Lapse Blue pulls everything inward, crushing targets with immense gravitational force. Reversal Red does the opposite, blasting everything away with pure destructive repulsion, and when blue and red collide, they create hollow purple, a technique that doesn't just destroy, but erases everything in its path. His domain expansion, Unlimited Void, is even worse. Anyone trapped inside is flooded with infinite information, overwhelming the brain to the point of total paralysis. And the scariest part? Gojo can activate and deactivate his domain in just 0.2 seconds, while using almost no cursed energy thanks to the Six Eyes, allowing him to fight at full power almost indefinitely. He's not completely unbeatable. Infinity can be bypassed under specific conditions, and domains can clash, but reaching him in the first place is the real challenge. Over 1,000 years ago, the sorcerers of Japan's Heian era, the golden age of Jujutsu, combined all of their power to fight one man. They couldn't kill him. That is who we're dealing with. Sukuna's innate technique, Shrine, produces two slashing attacks: Dismantle, fixed output invisible cuts, perfectly calibrated for inanimate objects and barriers, and Cleave, the adaptive slash that reads your cursed energy and toughness in real time, then outputs exactly enough force to annihilate you in a single hit. Then there's Divine Flame, unlocked after Cleave or Dismantle, a concentrated fire attack that overwhelmed Jogo, the volcanic special grade curse who was literally born from fire. And then there's Malevolent Shrine, Sukuna's domain, considered by many to be the most refined domain in the history of Jujutsu. And here's what makes it unique: it doesn't have a barrier. Every other domain creates an enclosed pocket space. Malevolent Shrine manifests in reality. It paints its destruction directly on the world. Because it allows an escape route through this open design, it forms a binding vow that extends its guaranteed hit range to nearly 200 meters. 200 meters of automatic Cleave and Dismantle, hitting everything with cursed energy without stopping. You cannot break the barrier of Malevolent Shrine because there is no barrier. And Sukuna has twice the cursed energy of Yuta Okotsu, who already has more raw cursed energy than Gojo. He tamed Maharaga, the Shikigami that even Megumi could never fully control, and used it as a chess piece. Sukuna didn't just beat Gojo, he beat Gojo, then kept fighting everyone else. Alright, this is what you came for. Let's actually run this fight. Yuji, solo, versus Sukuna and Gojo, simultaneously. First thing we need to establish, what version of Gojo and Sukuna? We're using peak canon versions. Gojo at full Shinjuku power, Sukuna at full Shinjuku power before the brain damage from Unlimited Void, both at maximum. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Round 1, the opening. Gojo opens with Infinity, passive, automatic. Yuji can't just run at him and land a punch. Every approach is slowed to near nothing before it arrives. Meanwhile, Sukuna is analyzing. That's what Sukuna does. He doesn't attack immediately, he reads you, finds the formula, and then deletes you. Yuji's best option here is distance. He activates blood manipulation, starts firing piercing blood from range. Against Gojo, piercing blood is likely slowed by Infinity. Against Sukuna, Sukuna's going to adapt and dodge, but it forces them to move. It breaks their static positioning. This matters because Gojo and Sukuna are two completely different fighters with completely different priorities. Getting them to fight in the same space as each other is already a tactical win for Yuji. Round 2, the domain problem. At some point in this fight, one of them is opening a domain, probably both. If Gojo opens Unlimited Void, Yuji has simple domain. That's his counter. He deploys it immediately. He survives. If Sukuna opens Malevolent Shrine, this is where it gets painful. Malevolent Shrine at 200 meters radius with automatic Cleave weave and dismantle. Simple domain can reduce the effect, but Yuji is still in the path of one of the most destructive guaranteed hit fields in the series. He needs to get outside the 200-meter radius, fast, and then counter from range. But here's the thing, Yuji also has a domain. And his domain isn't just a trump card, it's the thing that trapped and finished Sukuna already. If Yuji can open his domain at the right moment, he resets the battlefield on his terms. 2 domains versus 1 domain is still hard, but Yuji has fought inside impossible odds before.
Round 3, the soul factor. Here's where Yuji's most terrifying tool enters the conversation, his soul attacks.
Neither Gojo's Infinity nor Sukuna's reverse curse technique were designed to defend against soul damage. Gojo's Infinity filters based on speed, mass, and danger, but soul manipulation exists on a different register entirely. If Yuji lands a proper soul dismantle on Gojo, clean, flush, with his shrine-enhanced curse technique, Infinity does not protect against it. Gojo's brain immediately starts healing thanks to his automatic RCT, but he felt it. He's forced to react. That breaks his composure. And a reactive Gojo is a Gojo who's making decisions instead of dictating them. Against Sukuna, soul damage is even more significant. Yuji knows Sukuna's soul. He was Sukuna's vessel. He spent months sharing a body with him, feeling the contours of that soul. If anyone can exploit specific weak points in Sukuna's soul architecture, it's Yuji. Here's my honest answer. Against peak Shinjuku Gojo and peak Shinjuku Sukuna simultaneously, no, not yet. And I want to be specific about why, because the margin matters. The math is brutal. Sukuna has twice Yuta's cursed energy. Gojo has effectively unlimited technique uptime. Yuji's greatest strength, soul attacks, works against 1 at a time. You can't soul dismantle 2 targets simultaneously. His domain is powerful, but a simultaneous unlimited void and malevolent shrine counterpress would be catastrophic. But the gap is closing. In Modulo, Yuji has continued to grow. Gege confirmed Yuji's potential equals Sukuna's at peak. That means Yuji's ceiling is Sukuna level, and Gojo and Sukuna aren't getting stronger anymore. Yuji is. The version of Yuji we see in Modulo Chapter 20, the one who took down an entire building's worth of sorcerers with blood manipulation alone, the one described as potentially the strongest sorcerer of all time. That Yuji pushes this fight closer than any version of this question ever has before. Could a specific version of this 1v2 go to Yuji? If Gojo is fresh out of prison realm and exhausted, if Sukuna is operating on a damaged brain, if Yuji gets his domain off early and controls the space, maybe. The answer isn't yes, but it's no longer definitely not. And that might be the most exciting thing in all of JJK. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like. It genuinely helps the channel more than you think. Subscribe if you want more JJK deep dives, anime theory content. I'll see you in the next one.